I bought a 15-bedroom co-living investment property for $600,000. Now here's what's really cool. I only put $22,000 into the deal, which is, if you're keeping score, only 3.7% for a property I never moved into, which is pretty awesome. But in order to pull that off, I had to overcome some pretty big lender and insurance problems. Here's how I did it. I'm James Furlo, providing strategies and tools for real estate investors to help them maximize their long-term cash flow while minimizing headaches. Thanks for watching. So I submitted an offer on this 15-bedroom property in October. Now they were asking $850,000, but I only offered them $700,000, which is considerably less. And no surprise, they ended up going with somebody else. Now the reason why my offer was so low was because honestly, it wasn't the kind of property that I was looking for. I was looking for more traditional apartments that I would be able to syndicate, and this wasn't that. And so the numbers needed to make sense, knowing that I was going to finance most of the deal. Fast forward to December, and that deal fell through. And that was because the buyers discovered some not so small problems with the property. And so they came back to me saying, "Hey, are you still interested at that 700 range?" I went, "Well, yes, I am still interested, but only at 600,000 given these new issues." And much to my surprise, they countered at 615, and so we signed a contract to close in February. And with that, my wife and I got ready to take a tour. What are your initial thoughts before you actually see it?
Just looking forward to seeing it. The pictures looked awesome, so I'm not anticipating any super big surprises, but it's always good to actually see it in person. And
Okay.
I mean, it looked like it was in better shape than I anticipated, just thinking in my brain, and so it was like, oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, we can deal with that stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check in afterwards to see if that's actually true. When we're touring a property, we're looking for a couple of things. First, we're looking for desirability. Is this something that I would want to live in? And more importantly, are there some changes that I can make to the layout or the way that it's all structured so that it would become more desirable? Second, we look at the condition. How much deferred maintenance is there on this property? And we're looking at all the normal stuff, like we're looking at the walls and the windows and the fixtures, but I also check all the plumbing. I'm gonna run every single faucet, I'm gonna see how the drains work. I'm gonna peek under cabinets to make sure that there is no leaking. I'm gonna test all the outlets to make sure that they all work. I'm gonna flip on all the lights to see what happens with the lights. I'm also gonna crawl, or at least peek into the crawl space, and I'll peek into the attic as well, just to get a sense for how much work needs to be done to get this up to a standard that it should be at. And I take a lot of pictures because I want to have plenty to reference when I get home. Now in this case, that was actually really helpful because no one actually had an accurate understanding of where the units were and what the layout was, which to me is a little crazy, but just didn't exist, and that's okay. So with all the pictures, I was able to make a really detailed, accurate layout of this property, and I used Apple's Freeform to do it all, and I think it turned out pretty well.
I like it. I think there's a lot of upside to creating like this cohesive home, like some sort of theme or housing, or like he was talking about, dormitory style housing near campus, for XYZ, like whoever that target market is.
Soccer players, soccer is a football.
Gymnast or
gymnast?
short?
It could be a gymnast house. There's lots of places you could swing around there. Yeah, okay, cool. So
it's interesting to me.
The only other question that I have outstanding is, okay, if I can't turn it into a triplex, but I think I can get most of the bedrooms, how's my financing and refinance going to look in the future? Do I still think there's enough upside in the building if it's if it's a very large single family home? Do the numbers still work out for a refinance later on? So we decided to move forward with the process. The game plan was to get a loan for the entire purchase amount using short-term debt, and then once we improved it, we would then either sell it or refinance it. And all was great until it wasn't. It started out with getting a call from my lender who said that they had assessed what the after repair value of the property was going to be, and it didn't come in high enough for them to fund the entire purchase of the property, which was a bummer. And I had to decide if I was willing to put in an extra $15,000 into this property, which on one hand doesn't seem like a lot, but on the other hand, it's a significant increase from what I was already putting into it, like 50% more. and I really was just struggling on whether or not I was going to move forward with it. Was I really willing to tie up that much capital in this project where, if this guy's opinion was correct, honestly wasn't going to have a big payday and just maybe not be worth my time and investment. I wasn't concerned about losing money, but I also didn't think I was going to make any money. So I ultimately talked to some people, got some good counsel from them, and decided to give the sellers a choice. They could either lower the price by that $15,000 or just give me 3 more weeks. And I figured in those 3 weeks, I could look around, find some more lenders who would be willing to give the full amount potentially. Ultimately, the sellers came back and said that they were willing to reduce the price by the $15,000. And so we're moving forward. So I'm super pumped. It's going to be fun. I'm going to learn a lot from the process, and I'm excited that we were able to come to an agreement. With my financing figured out, we prepared for closing. And that's when things really fell off the rails. It turned out that my insurance provider couldn't just simply add us to their new policy. And so what they did was they put it out to a third-party company on my behalf, and they came back with a quote of $14,000, which is astronomical. Now, to put that in perspective, I have an 11-unit apartment building that is 3 times the size, and that only cost me $3,500. It's insane how big of a number it was for my insurance. Needless to say, it is significantly more than what I underwrote it at, which was only $2,500. I was in a conundrum. I'll admit, I had a freakout moment. I started calling insurance agents looking for alternatives, and much to my surprise, very few of them even wanted to give me a quote because of 2 reasons. One, it's close to campus and assumed to be therefore student housing, and 2, it's co-living. Individually, it's very much insurable and not a problem, but together it creates challenges. So, after 10 very long days of calling all sorts of agents, I finally found one. I found an insurance agent who will be able to give me insurance for a price that is reasonable. And I was not looking forward to having to pay $14,000 for insurance, but you know, makes $5,200 sound a little more reasonable. I wish it was the 25 I thought it was gonna be, but you know, that's just the name of the game, I suppose. And yeah, it's all gonna be okay. So I'm excited. We're ready to move forward. So we got the closing scheduled for next Tuesday, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. We did it. We successfully closed. Feels good. This is also the first time that I've worked with a property manager, and it's been a fantastic experience. I've really enjoyed it. We've worked together to come up with a repair plan and come up with some strategic ways to increase the income. For example, one idea we're kicking around has to do with a couple of parking spots. We noticed that there's only 2 at this property of 15, and so the people who are there tend to kind of just have their cars there for a while and not really use them. So it's inefficient. And my idea is to potentially auction off those spots, say every 6 months, to people who actually want them and can use them for convenience. The other idea that we have is to bill back their utilities. During our tour, I saw this a couple times where people would have their heater on and they'd have a window open like right next to it, which honestly, it's just not cool. It's also not warm. It's a problem. And so by billing back utilities, it aligns our incentives together so that they're looking to conserve in the same way that I would like them to conserve. After completing the repairs and income objectives, our plan is to refinance the property and pull out most of our capital and then hold on to the property for a very long time. Now, if for whatever reason the appraisal comes in too low, we'll most likely sell the property, capture the immediate value, and then move on to the next project. It's kind of a win-win situation, and I'm excited for it. If you found this video helpful, please like the video. And if you'd like more strategies and tools to maximize your long-term cash flow while minimizing headaches, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.